Hi, my name is Erica, the creator of TsundEri, the YouTube channel and blog about anything and everything having to do with anime. And you're listening to Nerds at Work with TsundEri, the podcast where I interview proud nerds who turn their nerdy interests into thriving careers. I'm a huge fan of today's guest, Cheyenne Ewulu, who you know as Cheyenne the Geek. Cheyenne has done and is doing a bit of everything. She's an actress, writer, producer, on-air talent, content creator, and just all-around entertainer. She has worked as on-screen talent for HBO, Nerdist, Funimation, Rooster Teeth, just to name a few. She currently hosts and writes for her own series, Prime Video Anime Club, for Amazon Prime Video. And most recently, Cheyenne wrote, filmed, produced, and acted in a pilot for her series, The Comic Shop. The Comic Shop is the story of a former engineering major who decides to forego grad school and open a comic shop instead with her friends. I'm super excited to share her story, and without further ado, Cheyenne, how are you?
Hello, hello. I am great. I'm just chilling here, enjoying my new cat mom life.
How's the cat mom
Um,
life treating you?
it's been pretty good. I'm learning so much. This is my first pet ever. So,
Really?
yeah, so I'm learning a lot. Um, but he's great. He may or may not make a cameo. I can't control that. So if you see him, just act like he's not there.
So
Just
so right now it's like 4 p.m. my time, and this is
mhm.
when my cats have ran out of energy for at least a good couple hours. But usually I record stuff in the morning. They're always making appearances, so I completely get it.
You know what's funny? Like quite literally before I got on camera, he was asleep on the bed. But as soon as he saw me sit down at the desk, he was like, "Oh, it's up." Like, let me I was just like, "Dang, that's crazy." But yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. So if you ever have any questions, I've grown up with cats my entire life. I always call myself the cat Hashira. So if you ever just like, girl, what is this? I got you. Because
I'm learning so much.
they will do some weird stuff.
Yeah, I will definitely hit you up because this cat is a lot, but in the
Especially when they're
best way.
kittens.
Hmm.
So my first question, I love to ask this to all of my guests, which is, what does being a nerd mean to you?
I feel like being a nerd is like, I feel like anybody could be a nerd, right? There's
Hmm.
like different levels to it. The spectrum is broad. But for me, I feel like being a nerd is just like you're overly passionate about something and you have like excessive knowledge about it that you can talk about it for hours and hours. It could be anything. It could be fashion, TV, film, science, math, just anything. So like if you're like overly passionate about it and you can like talk about it for hours, like it's all you care to talk about, you're a nerd. You're a nerd for that thing. So
That's what I say too, is it really just comes down to being passionate about something. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it really comes down to just being passionate about something, and like, that being something that you can just talk about all hours of the day. For me, that's anime and manga and cats. I could talk about cats forever. So I love that you said that. And what I want to know is, what are some things that you like to nerd out about? I know you like to nerd out about anime, but like, is there anything else that you love to nerd out about?
yeah, aside from anime, I love video games. I love comic books, superheroes. Um maybe something that people don't know. Let's see. Is there anything people don't know? I love sneakers. Like I'm very into sneakers.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I love Nikes, Adidas. I'm very into like chunky sneakers specifically, but I'm trying to like build that up and activate my sneakerhead superpowers because that's like where I'm trying to go next with like my collection and obsession. So yeah.
I love that. That's like me with records, and I've been trying to build up like my physical music collection.
Mm,
And I feel like no matter what I do, it's never enough. And I'm just
I feel
like,
that. Yeah.
I need people to walk into my apartment and they see like, oh, she knows her music. Like this is, yeah.
Exactly. Eventually, I would love to just have a two-bedroom to myself and just like have a whole closet for my shoes so that way I can like buy more. Because right now I'm like cutting myself off from buying any new shoes because I have no space in my closet, like literally none. Um, and so yeah, one day we'll see.
So what something I want to know is, when did you realize, because you do like I said, you're an all-around entertainer. Like, you do acting, you do hosting, you do like pretty much anything in the industry, I feel like you've done it or you've had experience in it. So what I want to know is, when did you decide that you wanted to pursue a career in entertainment? Was it something that you've been wanting to do since you were a kid, or is it something that kind of hit you closer to adulthood or in adulthood?
I think like 5th grade, I definitely knew that I wanted to do something in entertainment. I thought I wanted to make anime. Like, I thought I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be a mangaka. I wanted to have my own original anime. I had so many concepts when I was in middle school that I drew out. So that's originally where I thought I would be, and then I joined theater in 7th grade and was like, "Wait, acting is pretty cool. I think I might wanna do this." And then it wasn't until I was in college that I joined the TV program there, and I started, like, doing, some, what do they call it? Anchoring, some news
Mm-hmm.
anchoring, and I was like, "Oh, reading off teleprompters is kinda cool." Like, I like hosting too. That's kinda fun. Then they had me interview the news director. Liked me so much. She came up to me. She's like, "Hey, you're really good on camera. Do you want to like interview, the celebrities that would like come to the school, come on campus?" And like, she's like, "Do you want to just interview them?" And I was like, sure." And so from there, she had me like interview. Like, I remember like Keenan Thompson
Oh
was like
wow.
one of like the really big ones that came on campus at the time. And so I got to interview all of them and like build up my little reel from that, which I got so lucky that that was even a possibility for me. But yeah, so I guess there's just like different things that like maybe be like, hey, I might see myself in this world of entertainment. Even though like I'm a shy baby in real life. Um yeah.
How do you work through that shyness? Because I'm also I get very nervous before anything that I do. I'm always like, oh my gosh. But for me, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, girl, you're already here. Let's just do
Yeah.
it. So how do you work through it?
That's a great question. I'm still having trouble working through it. I've always been shy my whole life. I still have like report cards that my mom has saved from like kindergarten where my teachers would literally complain about me being quiet and to myself. Um and that's literally like I know no other complaints. Like, most people get like, oh, they're doing a great job or they're talking too much in class. I got she doesn't talk enough. Those were my complaints from my teachers. So I feel like I've been this way my whole life, but I feel I am able to like turn it on when it's like when it comes to like being on camera.
Hmm.
Because if I'm getting paid, I'm gonna act like a different person. But like,
I know that's right.
I don't know. It's like a switch that goes off and on when I wanted to. Like when I'm on camera, I'm like, yay, do 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 do. But then as soon as that camera's off, I don't know if anybody's ever seen like behind the scenes of like me doing on camera stuff. But usually, as soon as they yell cut, my face is like back to like back to like where this is, and I'm back to being that shy person. It's like it's just a mental switch. I don't know. I have no proper advice for that because I'm still working through it. I just know it's like a mental switch that I can turn on and off
Hmm.
whenever I know I need to work. But yeah.
I think that's like probably what it is too. At least for me, it's like because I also have to do some on camera stuff and all that for like my job outside of this, and I am a very nervous person, and I think
Mhm.
it's like for me, you get to a point where you realize, well, I'm here, I'm getting paid to do this. There's no turning back now. All I really can do is my best.
Yep.
So I feel like there's a mental thing in our brain that's like, hey, we got to do this. We'll cry later.
Yeah, I'm just like, yep, just turn on that personality and then you can go home.
Yeah. So you mentioned these were all kind of things that you pieced together. So you joined drama club and you realized, oh, I really enjoy acting. And then you did some anchoring in college. And you're like, oh, I really enjoy, reading from a teleprompter and hosting. I think that's fun. So what I find interesting about your career is that you really did carve your own niche within your industry as an actress and a writer and as a hostess. And you kind of cultivated your own community of supporters. So what I want to know is, how did you go about combining, I guess, like geekdom, oh my gosh, with entertainment? And did you ever get any pushback? Because I know for me, I've never done acting, but I've done journalism and I've done writing, and often when it comes to being a writer, part of the job is you kind of make other people's ideas kind of come true, or you bring to life something that they necessarily can't do on their own. It's not always really about your niche and what you're interested in. So I think that's really cool that as an actress and a writer, you really do combine, from the comic shop, from hosting, you really do combine like your interest with what you're doing. So how did you go about morphing those together, and was there ever any pushback for it?
So when I first got into hosting, the real reason I wanted to get into hosting was because I saw people who, obviously didn't look like me, but there were people out here talking about nerd stuff professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, folks could do that? Like people are talking about comic books and getting paid to talk about it on camera and like have fun doing it. That's a job. Okay. But I wasn't sure if it was for me because I literally, when I first moved out to LA in like 2017, end of 2017, I didn't see anybody that was looking like me in that space, like for anybody working for anybody. And it kind of made me nervous. So I kind of stuck to the entertainment space at the time and was doing like stuff for like entertainment outlets, like red carpets and stuff for
Mm-hmm.
entertainment outlets. But I was like, I don't fit in that world. I'm way too. I just felt like I just didn't fit in that world, and I was like, I knew eventually I wanted to break into like the really niche geek space. So I pretty much just was like, I made it my mission, I guess, to figure out how to do it. I don't know if anybody had ever remembers when I was on YouTube doing the Pretty Brown and Nerdy channel with two other girls forever ago, but that was kind of like what kind of opened my doors to like be able to do this kind of stuff. Because I remember the first audition that I ever got for anything geek related was, no, not a lot of people know this, but I auditioned for DC Comics to be a host for DC Comics like twice ever
Oh
in my life,
wow.
like years ago in 2018. And the reason that they called me into audition was because they had seen my work on the Pretty Brown Nerdy YouTube channel. They were like, "We really like you. We can tell like you're a fan, and we want to give you a shot." And so I got to audition for them twice. Obviously didn't make it, but that opened doors for like other things because literally after that I got my gig with Funimation. But anyways, all that to say is I never want to step into something and not like what I'm doing. I always want to see
Mm-hmm.
how I can take what I'm doing and make it more me. So I was like, if I'm going to do hosting, I don't want to just do, entertainment, you know, uh, entertainment outlets. I want to figure out how I can talk about the stuff that I actually like. Because if that's a possibility, why not? Even though I don't see anybody that looks like me, I feel like there's definitely, a chance for me to carve my own little lane. And so just like in writing, like you're supposed to write what you know. And so the comic shop is not the first pilot that I ever wrote. Like I have like three other pilots that I have like under in my cave or whatever. It's just the first one that I was confident enough to do anything with. And
Mm-hmm.
so but even those other pilots, you write what you know. So the easiest thing to do is to write about what I've been branding myself as for years, being a nerd, right? And so I feel like I don't know that I ever got have I gotten pushback? There's some people who definitely don't get it. There's some people who I remember I was at this party, this networking party, and there was this guy who I guess his daughter was like an actress or something, or like was trying to get into the industry or whatever, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why he was there trying to network. But I remember him having like the audacity to come up to me and tell me that, after I explained like what my brand was, I was like, "Oh, I'm a professional geek." Simple as that. Usually people don't ask questions, or people ask questions, but they usually just take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "That's not an appealing thing to say. Like people don't. That's not something that people appeal to. Like if somebody came up to me and told me that they were a professional geek, I look at them like they were crazy and I'd laugh." He was like, "You know what you should call yourself? You should call yourself." I don't even know what he said. He said something weird that didn't even have anything to do with my brand. And I remember just looking at him and being like, this guy has the audacity to tell me what's not working for my brand. Meanwhile, he's here at this networking party trying to like, pick up like whatever scraps he can from these people. Mind you, I just got off set doing, this, or like I just had a job in this. So I was like, so, like stuff like that. Some people just don't get it. Also, like, I'm a black girl, I'm queer, people don't get me already. And so when you add something like geekdom into it, people are just gonna like be like, okay, now she's now this doesn't make sense. So I feel like the only pushback I've ever gotten was like really just people not getting it and not
Mm-hmm.
wanting to get it. Um, but I hope that answered your question. Sometimes
No,
I just go off on a
no,
tangent.
it definitely did. And it made me think about, you definitely answered it. It made me think about how, we're at a point with entertainment and with just nerddom in general that there really is something for everyone. So when someone says like, "Oh, that's not appealing," or "Oh, that doesn't make sense," it's like we're at a point in time where there's a person that started a TikTok that went viral. He got money off of it and everything, where he's reviewing
Mhm.
bathroom sinks.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lane for everybody. There's a lane for everything. Like people
Yeah.
don't understand. Like when I was doing this YouTube, I don't do YouTube anymore, but like when I was like doing the Pretty Broad and Nerdy channel when we started in like 2014, the reason we started was literally we were in my living room and when I was in college and we were just like talking about all these nerd YouTubers that we liked
Hmm.
that were black and there were only like a handful at the time, but all of them were guys like that were like really taking over and we were just like, well, I have the equipment and we have the brains, like why don't we just make a YouTube channel and see like well, maybe we should be that representation, because like
Yeah.
there were literally no black girls like at the time doing any kind of content. And so I always I'm very serious about if I don't see myself there, I'm gonna figure out ways to take up space. And I feel like I've done that even when I was like a K-pop YouTuber. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Like I barely saw any black girls in that scene, and I was really obsessed with K-pop, even if it was like to a cringy extent at the time. But the reason I got into the YouTube scene was because I didn't see anybody that looked like me. Like I'm very much like, oh, I don't see anybody that looks like me. Maybe I should, maybe I should,
I love
go into
that.
that space. And so, like, that's just like how my brain functions. And so, I feel like if you see that there's room for you, then go for it. That's just I don't know. That's like the biggest advice I can tell anybody because that's like literally how my brain works. Even now, like in the anime space, like I didn't see when I was hosting for Funimation, I never saw a single black girl on their platform, but I saw like the same faces all the time. They were always non-black, and I was just like, bruh, black people love anime.
I'm
Do you
saying.
not understand that? Like black people love anime. And so one of the first things I did was I went to I think was he the audience engagement dude at the time who I don't think works there anymore, but he doesn't work for anything anymore. But anyways, I remember I went up to him at this AX party after they had me hosting for them for Anime Expo for the first time. I remember I went up to him because I really wanted my own like
Mhm.
series or like I wanted to like host more, and I was like, you know, black people really love anime. I don't know if you know,
We
but like
do.
yeah, like black people really love anime. And it was like I remember they were celebrating like their 25th anniversary for like, bringing anime to on Toonami and stuff or whatever they were doing. And I was like I remember like growing up and like all of my friends who loved anime were literally black kids. And they still are. Like all of my friends that love anime are literally black kids. And so I was just like, black people love anime and I would love to like be able to like all this nostalgic stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z. Like there are articles where they talk about how Toonami's biggest audience were black and brown kids, and they were just like, really? I had no idea. I always thought, but like I never realized how big it was until I started going to anime conventions and like majority of people who go to our events are like people of color, and I was like, yes. So I was like, we'll talk. Like that was basically what I was like. We'll talk, and then that's how from there, I managed to do 2 seasons of Funimation Flashback with them, which was pretty cool.
That was
Definitely
really
one of the
cool.
highlights of definitely one of the highlights of my content creation slash hosting life. But yeah, if you don't see a space for you, bro, just go in and make that space. Like be that representation in the space. I know I'm making it sound like a lot easier said than done, but I feel like if you have a passion for it and you really feel like you belong in that space, you're gonna make your way. I don't know. That might just be my annoying, like, you know, child of immigrant parent brain
I
going
feel,
on.
I
But
feel like that's the mark of a creative, though, is being able to look at something and see either either see that there aren't people like you, or that there maybe is a topic or an angle or something that is being overlooked or not discussed, and in seeing like, okay, I know I can do that, I know I can fit
Yeah.
in there, or I know I can give them what they're missing. I think I
Yeah.
feel like something that's happening a lot with the creator economy, or or even not even just like creator economy, but just like entertainment in general, is people will see a formula that works, and instead of try to do something different, or take inspiration and say, oh, they did that and it worked for them, so if I want to do what I want to do, it could work for me. I see a lot of people sort of just trying to rehash that same formula or build off of that. And I think the mark of creative is seeing, no, there's something that is actually missing that people are not doing, and I want to go and do
Mhm.
that. So I think that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%.
And you talked about working with Funimation, for the flashback, that being a huge highlight for you. I wanted to know, has there been a moment in your career that really affirmed that, yes, I'm in the right lane. This is what I'm doing, and this is my spot. I did a good job. This is where I'm supposed to be.
I think I think definitely when Funimation, and I want to put emphasis on Funimation because a lot of people like to blur my work with Funimation and with Crunchyroll, but I've
Mhm.
never, I've only worked with Funimation
Mhm.
when they were Funimation. But yeah, when Funny and Aniplex had me out in New York Comic Con for the Demon Slayer panel, and I was very nervous. I'm not, even though like I grew up in like, doing theater and stuff, being on stage still scares me. And the fact that they were like, oh, there's gonna be like 5,000 plus people there, no pressure, that scared me even more. And so I was like, if I nail this, I truly know that I was meant to be in this space 100%. Um, and so I think after, I got such good audience feedback and like brand feedback, and like Aniplex was like, we loved her. The Funimation team, was like very impressed as well. I was like, okay, maybe I was meant to be in this space. Maybe I can do this. Like sometimes like that light goes off in your head. That final, like
Mhm.
I always like to reference that episode of Oran High School, the first episode where they're like trying to put the pieces together that Haruhi's actually a
Oh
girl,
yeah.
and those light bulbs are going off in everybody's head. Like that final light bulb goes off in my brain, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Like this is I can do this. So I think it was that moment that really like affirmed my skills, or what I was doing for me. And so yeah, even though I was hella nervous, that whole weekend was like super busy. I don't know how. Shout out to Lauren who's at Crunchyroll because that girl is a worker. But yeah, so that was it.
Yeah, I've seen you do like, I think I've seen you do like red carpet events and all these different things, and it always looks hectic. And like there's
It's a
50 things
lot.
going on. I would
It's a
be
lot.
sweating.
Oh yeah, for sure. My feet are always hurting. Like I made a I was like, okay, after the I forget the My Hero red carpet I did, and I was wearing heels. I'm not a heels girl. I love sneakers.
Mhm.
And so but I always thought like that was a standard for red carpets for women, was to wear heels. But I didn't realize that was like all in my head. I was like, if you don't, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not a thing that could happen. And so I think after that, I started like trying to find a way to like incorporate suits
Mhm.
and sneakers into my, red carpet looks, because I just want to be comfortable. Like the easiest way for me to do good work is for me to be comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable, I feel like that's just gonna change the whole mood for me all day. And so like after that, I was like, I'm never wearing heels, doing a red carpet gig or a hosting gig ever again. And so since then, I've just been trying to incorporate different styles of shoes and sneakers and stuff. And so yeah, it's crazy. Kudos to everybody who like still does that um, out here.
When I was working at a newsroom, we would have, reporters come in, and the new reporters would always have like these really nice heels on for like their first few
Mhm.
stand-ups, and then eventually they realize, oh, the camera doesn't pan down to my feet. So my
Oh
favorite is
yeah,
when
for
they,
sure.
yeah, they would come
Yeah,
in and they would have like makeup done, hair done, lashes, the whole works. Then you go down to their feet and they have like slides on, or like, and I was like,
yeah,
that's. I remember they would come in and be like, hey, they were coming like, oh my god, like my feet are killing me, and I'm like, listen, they're never gonna pan down to your feet. They're not gonna know. It'll
yeah,
just be us.
yeah. I'm just like, I can't do it, but bless the people who who do it and make it look good because
Yeah, I can't. My feet hurt after like 30 minutes in heels. I'm not fit for it at all. Um,
same.
so speaking of hosting events, and you've hosted events and panels, and you've worked with Amazon, a bunch of other brands. That is something that a lot of content creators in the nerdy space want to work towards, or but they don't always know how to navigate it. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, but what advice would you give to creators who are looking to kind of grow and pursue those kinds of opportunities? Working with brands, Netflix, or not Netflix, oh my God, Amazon, etc.
Um, I feel like know what you're good at, know your niche, which is like such a little thing to say, but it's very much real. Like know your niche, know what you're good at, know what you can talk about for hours and hours on end. If you want to do on camera stuff, can you read on a teleprompter? Do
Mm-hmm.
you have that experience? If you do you have a media kit or a resume? Can you add like make sure you add that to your everything that you're like pitching? Um there's like a lot that goes into on camera hosting. Do you have live show experience? Do you have moderator experience? These are like things that you need to make sure you add to whatever you're sending out to these brands. And then also, do you have a reel that, makes that has all of those
Mm-hmm.
things, all in one, 1 minute video, and it's make sure it's like all your best clips. Are you making an audience laugh? Make sure you put that in your reel versus you just like introducing yourself. Like you want to make sure you're picking the better clips. um I think networking is definitely a big part of it. I think if I didn't suck up my shyness and network at like all the comic cons that I've been to and like all the anime conventions that I've been to, I don't think I would have been where I got to be all these years. Making sure that you're really knowledgeable. Do you have like content to prove that? I can't say for sure that I was hired off of my content or followers. I think that's like a common misconception that people
Yes.
think followers, oh, if I want to host for so and so, I need all of these followers. And like, I'm just like, no, I remember DC calling me out to LA to audition. And I think at the time I had like 2K Instagram followers. They don't care about that. They want to know like, are you good on camera and like, do you know your stuff? And so I think a lot of people want to work on the follower aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I God bless them because I cannot. I haven't cared about my followers in my follower count in forever. But I think people would rather build their followers than build their actual skills, and I think that's like a big issue that I see, especially like in the content creator space. And so it's really just about building skills, staying knowledgeable, proving
Mm-hmm.
that you're knowledgeable. Have a great website, have a great resume. For me, I think a website is better. I got hired for this Coca-Cola slash fandom gig because they really liked my website. They were like, "Oh, your website is perfect. It's like a one pager that has everything about you. We can see like what you've worked with, who you've hosted with." Again, they didn't care about my followers. They were just like, "Oh, this girl knows her stuff." Like that's all they cared about. Even to then, this is recent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got my Spotify gig where I got to talk about anime and rap music. And I got that because a friend of mine who had worked there was like, oh, this girl is the real deal. Like, she knows anime. She can talk about anime backwards. And she also knows, when it comes to female rappers, like she's all about it. She knows about it. So it's really just about building your skills. And if you see like the girls that are hosting for these people now, a lot of them don't have 100K followers. Like a lot of them, like
Yes.
I said, like I always go back to Lauren because she's like a big reason why I was able to do a lot of stuff with Funimation. But she was the reason, or she if you look at her follower, like she doesn't care. You think she's like waking up every day trying to see how many followers she has? No, she's out here hosting for Crunchyroll because she's good at her job and she's has a bunch of skills, and she makes it known that she's not replaceable, which is like
Mm-hmm.
what I think most creators should focus on versus the social media aspect.
Something
But
that, oh, sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna add, like, I always tell people treat your Instagram like a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have an Instagram, treat it like a portfolio. What do you want to be known for? Put it on your Instagram. I don't do that much anymore. My Instagram is a mess. Like I post whatever now, but I definitely remember like when I was coming up, I was treating my Instagram like a portfolio for sure. And so, anyways, yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, don't apologize. It's funny because you're touching on something that I talk a lot about with a lot of my friends, which is there's this push of, oh, follow me here, follow me here, follow me here. I have however many K, 10K, 20K, 100K followers on this platform. But then when you go to, their platform, you don't really know what they do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And something that Quinta Brunson from Abbott and BuzzFeed and literally everything had mentioned was her advice for creatives was focus on your craft first and the apps second, because the apps come and go. Right now, TikTok is the big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is a year from now, some other app will just come out of the ether and everyone's going to flock there,
Right.
or or they flock back and forth between apps, and it's not, they're not going to be there. But
Mm-hmm.
your website is your website. The content that you make is your content. It's
Mm-hmm.
there and it's going to stay there, especially if you have a reel, you keep track of these things. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's something that I think a lot of people, like you said, in the creator space kind of forget about, which is, yeah, it's good to have a following so you can show people, hey, I know how to build community, or I know how to, you know, get the masses interested in something. But what do you do? Like, what's your work? What's your
Yeah.
craft?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think people care more about virality and like,
Mm-hmm.
getting viral content than actually showing that they have a skill. Um, and like a lot of people want the numbers for the wrong reasons. Like a lot of people just
Yes.
want to be seen by the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're wanting to be seen by this influencer who's, has like a million followers, but you don't want to be seen by the person that can get you an actual job. Like like, this is what we need to be, I don't know.
Yeah, and
But yeah.
follower count doesn't account for what you're actually getting paid for too. That's another
Yeah, you can have
thing.
a million. Yeah, because me talking in front of my camera on my phone on TikTok is a lot different than me going on stage in front of 5,000 people
Mm-hmm.
and reading a script that a brand has given me and like making sure I don't deter from the script or they'll get mad. It's like it's way different than that. So like I think work on skill. Yeah, work
I
on skill.
I 100% agree. And so now I'm really excited. I want to talk about the comic shop. So I saw the trailer for that. So I was scrolling. I think I was just scrolling through Twitter, and I saw that you put up the trailer for that, and I was watching it. I was screaming. I was really excited because, for one, I love comics. I love the style of comedy that I saw through the trailer, and you also have some familiar faces. I'm huge fans of Zeno Robinson. So I saw like a glimpse of Joshua David King. I was like, oh, cool, like nice. So I was really hyped. So what I want to know is, if I look down, it's because I have my questions. I'm very
Okay, if I look
transparent.
down, it's because if I look down, it's because I'm trying to figure out where my cat is. So
I'm very transparent with people. Like, it's not that I'm not paying attention, it's that I don't have a prompter. So what was the inspiration for the comic shop? How long has it been in the making? And I was gonna say, why comics, but you're also a nerd about comics, so I feel like that answers itself. But definitely, like, how long has it been in the making, and what inspired it?
yeah, so the comic shop, what's funny about that is I had another pilot that I had been working on for like a year, with some of the same characters like from the comic shop were in that pilot along with like three other characters. And for some reason, I just every time I would send it to like one of my friends who like I really trust their opinions, like I would send it to them and they would give me feedback and it just wasn't I don't know. Every time they would give me feedback, it would be, you know, I would be like, okay, maybe I can change this, maybe I should change that. But like I just was never sold on the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came up with another story where I was like, okay, I really love these characters, but I don't know, but I want to put them like in another scenario. So there was another scenario before I wrote the comic shop where it was just the character Stephanie. And it was like this rom-com type thing where
Mm-hmm.
she was like this queer girl trying to get into comics, but she wanted to like follow the path that her parents set out for her for years. And like, Keith and AJ, who Joshua David King plays the character AJ. Um, and Keith, played by Zeno Robinson, but they were like her support group, and Dominique too, played by Shanae Cole. And remember sending it to my friend, and I was like, okay, I want to make this. I'm really confident in this love story, and I wanna make this. And they were giving me notes, and I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna take those notes. I'm gonna come back, and then we're gonna see like how can we translate this to camera. And I don't know what it is about me, but one thing about me, I love to pivot. And so and so I remember like while I was like editing the story, I was like, what would be funny? A comedy set in a comic book store. Like just like as I'm writing, I was like, what about a comedy set in a comic book store? So I kind of like put that love story, like rom-com on pause, and then like, picked up another draft and started like writing the comic shop. And once I sent it to my friends, Robert, who directed the pilot, and Matt Smith, who was the cinematographer, I remember I gave it to them. I was like, y'all, this is it. This is what we need to. This is it. This is what we need to work on right now. I don't know what else to say. I've never smiled so much reading any of my writing before. Like
I love
this is the one. And we all kind of had the same energy about it. We were all really excited about it. We had the same vision for it. Everybody was super excited. I remember I sent it to Zeno, and Zeno was like, I read the first line and I was already in. And I was like, this is it. This is the reaction that I want. I want people to look at this and be like, I want to be a part of something like this. So anyway, that's how the script came along. And then we were scrambling looking for a location because unfortunately, there's like a lot of comic book shops closing down in LA because of the pandemic. And we went to the Perky Nerd. Loved the Perky Nerd. I remember they followed me on Instagram. I was like, oh, we should, location scout there. And beautiful store. They've unfortunately closed down, but the owner, Tiffany, shout out to them. They were nice enough to let us use, the store for the final 2 days of it opening. And so that's pretty much what we did. We shot for 2 days. A lot of the cast and crew were friends of ours, and so it didn't take much to find people. We basically, it's just like a series of networking across is pretty much what we did. We were like, okay, who's next to us? Who wants to be a part of this? Who would be okay with being a part of like a low budget production? And so, yeah, that's pretty much how that came about. I hope I answered.
No, you did. That actually, that leads into my next question, but also I want to know, so this is just because you mentioned that you love to pivot. So I do the same thing. I'll have an idea for something and I'll be working through it halfway, or it'll be done and I'll look at it and I'm like, actually, I want to do something different. Do you feel that the final, how it came out, the final trailer, the final pilot for it, you pivoted because it feels more true to the story that you're trying to tell? Because that's something that recently, so I do cat manga reviews for YouTube because I love cats and I love manga. Nobody asked for that, but I like doing
Love
them.
it. Yeah.
And but I was filming one recently, and I'm not in the same place that I was when I first started doing them. So I just felt I felt like I was going through the motions. Like, yes, this is what I do, and I love this manga, and I still love cats forever. But it just didn't feel true to me anymore. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna focus on the podcast because I really enjoyed the episodes I did for that. I want to keep doing that, and I feel now it's more true to what I'm doing. So is that the feeling that you felt when you kind of pivoted the story and you decided to kind of leave the romance part behind and really focus on these individuals in this comic shop?
Yeah. I guess I felt like the reaction from my peers that I got when I sent them the story and told them like my vision for it was enough to make me be like, okay, this is it. I'm not gonna do anything else. Like I'm just gonna, focus on this because my mind I can come up with like 30 million ideas while writing and then like never finish one. But I guess that's like what made me want to continue with that idea. And then I feel like the final product, because we didn't shoot the whole pilot. It's a half-hour comedy, but we only shot 11 minutes of it. And so once I saw like what the final product looked like, I was like, oh yeah, we we have something. Like there's something here for sure. Like this was good to focus on this. Because I don't know that my rom-com would have had the same impact. I think it would have been good, but I don't know that it would have had the same impact on everybody, versus, putting out a comedy based in a comic book store, and I think, but what's great is because I use the same characters, I still eventually plan on using that same
Mhm.
storyline from that rom com eventually, like within the show, God willing, it gets, picked up. We get it picked up. But yeah, so there's that.
And you talked about networking across, which is something that I want to get into. So being on social media and following people, you just notice things. So I noticed like the cast in the trailer, they are friends of yours. They're people that you know or that you've either you worked with or you're really good friends with. You just have a good rapport with. How important was it for you to pursue this project with people that are in your circle that you trust with this? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it was very important for me that I picked people that who I not only knew but like also knew were talented, were super
Mhm.
talented. Like me and Zeno, we went to the same acting school in LA. Um, And then Shanae, I knew her from like back in the Pretty Brown and Nerdy days when I was making merch and I used her to model when I first moved out here, and she was like modeling the PBN merch. And I always know I was like, she is something different. Like she's something else. Like her personality, like she's a ray of sunshine. I'm gonna use her for something. I just never knew what it would be for. But
I already know I'm gonna
and then
love her character. Like the
oh
trailer,
yeah,
I
she
loved her
listen.
character.
What we shot isn't even half of her. Like I wish we can shoot more. I can't wait till we get the opportunity to be able to shoot more because she's really. Everybody's like, "Oh, Keith is hilarious." It's like you have seen nothing yet. Like Dominique's character, when you read the pilot, is crazy. But yeah, so and then Josh, I knew like the character AJ is like a queer character, and like I knew Josh acted as well, and I was like, I love me some Josh, and I feel like Josh would handle this character with care and like really, give it the performance, give the performance I need to be gave with it, and then, so yeah, I feel like why look around? I feel like a lot of people when they're making stuff, they want to look for somebody who has the most clout or like
Mhm.
who has the most numbers because that's what's gonna get people. That's like the easiest way to get people to see your project. If you add somebody who has like
Yeah.
a million followers, oh my god, who has like a million followers, and funny enough, that was the route that I thought I needed to go when I was casting for this. But then I had to have like a sit down with myself. I was like, no, this is not like an Instagram skit. This is not, a YouTube sketch. This is like something that I actually want to get made on TV. And if I want that to happen, I want to make sure that that I'm considering talent
Mhm.
for sure. And I was like, I have a lot of pretty damn talented friends. Why don't I just hit them up? And so that's kind of what I did, and it turned out to be great. Everybody was super passionate about it, and I'm very proud of everybody's performances. And yeah, so
And I can tell in the trailer, everyone really it's something that translates through screen that everyone definitely has a connection to their character, that they're really taking it, like taking it seriously in the sense that this is a really important project, but also they're having a lot of fun and they really care about the characters that they're playing. The faces Zeno makes throughout the trailer cracks me up.
yeah,
At
he's
one
so funny.
point, Josh does like a side eye over a book or
Mm,
something, and it's
yeah,
it all
and
comes through.
and Josh's character's not even in the pilot. That's a character that gets introduced later on, but I wanted to make sure like if this is something that we were going to like try to get made, that they knew like there are more characters to this story. It's not
Mhm.
just like these three. These three are the main, but there are like more side characters who will eventually get introduced. So I wanted to make sure that we had a presence for those characters in the trailer. But yeah, so yeah,
You
they're all great.
you definitely did a good job. I see the different personalities translating, so that's one of the reasons I was really excited, and it's just genuinely funny.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
so there is something that oh my god, I twisted my words. So when you're putting together a pilot or a trailer for a pilot, what are some things about that process that some people might not know about? I think for from a viewer's perspective, we watch some, we just watch it. And then if it gets renewed or if we see it again, we see it again. But we don't really know all the things that go before we watch. Like what is creating and kind of shopping around a pilot like that people may not know about?
Girl, I'm still figuring that out. Like, I love, one of the compliments that I've been getting on social about my trailer is that people already think that this is something that's going to be on TV. Like, they love it. Like, the quality is like so great to them. They're like, this is going to be on TV. Like, where can we watch? And I'm just like, no, 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 no. This was like a very low budget thing that we shot. This is like a minute of an 11-minute thing that we shot. And it's not on TV yet. We're trying to get it made. But I guess without saying too much, mm-hmm. I feel like the process is definitely very interesting. It's always interesting to find out who's interested in your project. It's very humbling for sure. But I definitely have friends who can probably talk about it a lot better, but it's a lot of work. My route is not traditional. It's not the traditional route. Like, I literally told my friend, I was like, I'm going to post this trailer. I'm going to see if it blows up. And if it does, I'm just going to let the universe do its thing. Like, I had no, no steps for this, no structure. I was just like, I just want to post on it and like let it blow up and see whoever sees it. And so I've had definitely a lot of people reaching out, which has been exciting. But yeah, it's been interesting. I'm learning so much about this whole journey, and like hopefully my focus is like, making sure like the strike is good and done with and everybody's getting fair pay and stuff. And so yeah, that's my number one concern right now. But
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
Absolutely. And so my final question would be, what are some things that, we can do to support the comic shop and, make it happen? Because when I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't care who I got to talk to, what I got to do, like if I got to sign something in blood, I need to see this. I need to see it. So what can we do to support?
I appreciate it. Share it. Share the trailer. When you see the trailer, share it. When you see, if you're following the comic shop on Instagram, share the content on there, because you quite literally never know who's watching. Your cousin in Atlanta or something could know XYZ producer, and you just never know. That's how things trickle, on the internet. So all I can say is like, share it. I know there are people who like want so bad to donate to make it happen. I'm just like, no. We want these big corporations to pay for this. Like, let that happen. All you gotta do is make sure you share it. And just talk about how much you love it, and that's all we need. That's literally all we need.
I absolutely feel that, and I will definitely be sharing it. Every time I see it, I'm like, share, sending it to my sister, sending it to everybody, spamming it. I don't
Appreciate
care.
it.
So before we go, where can people find your work? How can people find you online, etc.? Your website, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me personally at Cheyenne the Geek on all social media. So like, I'm on TikTok. I'm barely on TikTok, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. And then you could find the comic shop on the comic shop series on Instagram. And we'll have some screenings, as we submit to festivals. That's something I forgot to mention. We've been submitting to festivals. We've gotten into one so far, so we're going to have a screening in LA very soon. I know a lot of people have been wanting to see it, so just stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be here. I know you're very busy, so I really appreciate you making time. And for all those listening, you can find me on Twitter at It's the TsundEri. My old Twitter, I don't have access to it. I messed up. Sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, it'd be like that. It's fine.
But, do I follow the old one? I don't know if I follow. I don't know which one I follow.
I think you follow. I think you still follow the old one. So what I do, because sometimes I forget who I followed on the old one. So if I see someone, like, wait, you were in my old life. You were in my past. Let me get back. So I go. I'm like,
oh yeah, let me know. Tag me. Let me know so I can follow.
Yeah, I'll tag you. So it's been funny. I was a little annoyed when I couldn't get back in. It was a really weird situation. It's still up. I just can't get back into it. But then I was like, yeah, you know what? It's Twitter. as long as I still do my
Yeah,
thing, it's fine.
exactly. The
So
followers will come. The
yeah.
followers will.
I was just like, yeah, it's fine. The last tweet that I had on my old one was a thirst tweet for a manga. So I was like, I went out the way I came in
Well,
here.
yeah, you went out with the bang, you know?
Exactly. So yeah, you can follow my new Twitter. It's the TsundEri. Instagram at the TsundEri, TikTok at the_TsundEri, and my website, tsunderi.com, because we love a consistent brand.
Period, period.
And that's it for now, and I will see y'all next week.
Thank you so much.